How's everybody doing this morning?
Josh, outside of the obvious, what have been the challenges you guys have had to face going through this last couple, 3 or 4 weeks?
There's numerous challenges that you're facing. I think the biggest thing is just the uncertainty for your players and your staff, and what's going to happen past today. I think it's really important as this is unfolding, as we continue to move forward, that our players and our staff focus on what they can control and do a great job during the course of the day of managing those things and wherever this thing ends up, making sure that we're putting our best foot forward every day to put ourselves in the best position, assuming we get the opportunity to go play next fall.
Hey, Coach, Joe Kepner with Channel 9. We're starting to hear just the first bits of talk of people saying, hey, maybe we'll get baseball in May. The NFL's already said they want to start their season this fall. Have you gotten any kind of indications from higher ups about any kind of timeline for when you might actually be playing football again?
No timeline. I think everybody's, with what's been put in place here, as far as through the end of this month here, for everyone to have a stay-at-home order, where we're at with recruiting here through the end of May. I think we're looking at what's going to happen here after this month and what the nation's going to look like. And obviously everybody associated with college football wants to get back to playing college football and no more than players and coaches. But I think everybody will look at what happens here at the end of the month and take it from
there. Coach, can you describe what it's been like for you and your staff to recruit in this time?
Yeah, it's changed in how you're able to communicate with your recruits. Instead of kids being on campus, this past Saturday would have been our spring football game, and the number of kids that we've typically had on campus during that, or when we've gotten back from spring break, those next 3 weeks, spring ball, with it being spring break throughout, Georgia and Florida. The number of visitors that we typically have on our campus, a lot of the kids that we're talking to right now, through FaceTime and those types of things. And you're having a bunch of communication with them. It's just different that you haven't had them on campus and had a in-person visit with them. You haven't had an opportunity to showcase a little bit about your university, the facilities, the campus, and as much as anything, just the environment that you have and the brotherhood that you have within your program. That's been the hardest thing is being able to showcase those kids. At the same time, we've had a bunch of communication with kids. Everyone's got a bunch of time on their hand because they're, not in school all day and then, playing spring football or doing individual workouts on their own with their personal trainers. At the end of the day, you've been able to get in touch with a lot of kids and have a lot of great contact with them.
Yeah, Coach. Have you, are all the players at home right now? Are there any players remaining on campus? And another question, as far as workouts that players are doing at home, are you allowed to provide them with anything? Like, have you been able to send them things like, basis like resistance bands or just some basic things for them to try to stay in shape?
Yeah, we are able to provide our kids a workout plan. We have a couple different variations for kids that have weightlifting equipment wherever they're at. We give them one that allows them to use the equipment. We also have one if they don't have workout equipment at home, barbells, benches, squat racks, those types of things. Then we have one that's kind of for their body weight. We actually they have a link, so if they don't understand what the exercise is, our strength staff demonstrates it for them there real quick. It's easy, it's convenient for those guys to follow, and our kids have done a good job. Our strength staff stayed in touch with every one of our kids throughout every single week. Or obviously our position coaches are doing the same thing. So our kids, they miss being around each other. They miss being on the practice field. They miss being in the weight room. They miss just being together. But our kids back home are trying to do as much as they can to stay in the type of shape that they obviously want to when we get back. We do have a couple of kids that are still here on campus, kids that don't have a place to go, and a couple of guys that have long-term rehabs with medical reason have the ability to stay here.
Hey, Coach, kind of building off of that, if this were to extend, if it were to extend into camp a little bit, or at this point, I mean, do you anticipate that there's going to have to be either changes or a longer period to get guys ready to go at the type of level that you guys expect? Because, I mean, certainly this is a different for them, and they're able to do, as much as possible to keep themselves in shape, but it's not the same kind of football shape that they'd be in if they were on campus during spring practice, getting ready for a spring football game. What kind of reasonable expectation is there of what it will take to get guys ready to play football, at the Division I level again after this sort of downtime?
Yeah, it's different than anybody has had to get ready for a season in a long time. I think you go back, 15 years ago, kids weren't staying on campus all summer long and working out, and maybe that's 20 years ago, but certainly the game has evolved in that, in trying to give kids academic opportunities during the summer, but also have the ability to make gains with organized strength and conditioning workouts to prepare themselves for training camp. Training camps evolved here over the last 10 years from what it used to be as well. At the end of the day, anyone and everyone associated with college football wants to get back on the football field and go play. And I think as we come out of the month of April, we'll have a better understanding of where we're at as a country and where we're whether or not we're going to be able to get kids back on campus here, shortly in June or wherever it might be. But at the end of the day, a training camp, 4 weeks, a couple weeks to get those kids, ready to go as you head into training camp. I think it's important, and at the end of the day, we want to find a way to go kick off and play football next fall.
Hey, Coach, I'm wondering if have you addressed the mental aspect of how difficult this is for all the kids, and how tough has this been for you?
It's tough for me. I'm lonely. I got 2 kids running around the house. That's been the one positive side of it. I spend a lot of time with them. I'm the PE instructor about 12 o'clock when they get done with class, and we're outside. Wife kicks them down to me, but I think right now we had hoped that maybe we would be on the back end of this when we initially found out that our kids are going to have to leave campus here once we get back from spring break in the middle of March. Obviously, it feels like we're on the front end here a little bit of this month. I think as this month continues to go, being able to engage your players is critical. Them being able to work out is a big part of mental health as well. And some of the football stuff that we're doing on Zoom, I think gives them a break from the monotony of what every day is. And as much as it's about football, it's really about a place of those guys being able to congregate and be around each other and laugh, have fun, and enjoy each other's company a little bit.
Josh, how much, you mentioned that, like doing some stuff on Zoom, and I'm sure you're having coaching meetings on Zoom and things like that, but how much are you guys actually willing to or able to do football wise when it comes with the players? Are we talking 2 or 3, 4 hours a week of stuff, or is it just kind of pretty limited out of that?
Yeah, we're limited to 4 hours a week right now that is directly associated to football. We're able to have academic check-ins and wellness check-ins outside of that perimeter.
Hey, Coach, just what's the on-field impact from this going to look like? Not having all of spring ball, not having guys on campus all summer. Assuming we do get to play football this fall, what's it going to look like?
Yeah, I think all of us are putting the cart before the horse. If we're trying to project, when we're going to get back, what football is going to look like at that point, what the season's going to look like. I think controlling the things that you can control and trying to do a great job of winning today is what matters for us as coaches and players. And I think whenever we get back on the field, the urgency from our players to be in shape and prepare themselves as best they can is at a high level. I think, everyone in America wants to get back to normal everyday life. And our players, they want to get back to that as well. And a big part of that is having the opportunity to go play and compete in the thing that they love to do.
Years in here where you've been able to establish and build your program the way you want. I'm curious to know, what's your advice for coaches that are heading into their first season with these programs and now are having to deal with this?
I think it's the same for every coach, no matter what year you're in. I think you have a little bit more, or your footprint of who you are and how you're going to operate it is more understood by the players and the coaches inside your building. But I think it's always about relationships. I think that's where it starts. And whether you're in year 1 or year 3, it's about developing relationships with those kids and them understanding where you're coming from, so that when you get on the grass and you coach them up, they understand why and how you're doing things.
Hey, Coach, just your thoughts on the possibility of playing in front of no crowd, or even playing next spring as opposed to this fall. Any thoughts on those two scenarios?
I really haven't thought that far in advance. For us, it is controlling what we can control, and I'm so I think just trying to make sure that I'm putting our staff and our players in the best position today, with all the moving parts that have happened because of the situation that we're currently in. I think you're trying to continue to understand the environment and the scope of how and what recruiting is going to look like. You're trying to make sure that your kids are able to eat and they got a good living situation. You're concerned about them academically, and then the mental and physical health side of it here as we stay in confinement here a little bit longer. I think it's just it's important that you focus on those things. Haven't thought about the long-term effects of where we're going to be. It's just my hope that we're able to get back on the football field and have a great season here whenever that happens.
Coach, in regards to the true freshmen and other first-year players you have, how much impact do you think a shortened spring schedule will have on them and their development within your program?
Probably hurts the young players that were the mid-year enrollees as much as anybody, just because they haven't had time in your system and time on the grass to make the physical or mental mistake and to learn from it in a hands-on experience. And then continue to grow from that. I thought the young kids that we had in our program through the first 4 days did a tremendous job. I thought they got better every single day. I thought they competed and handled themselves. I didn't think the moment or the game was too fast or too big for them at any moment that those young guys were on the field. A big part of that's the success and the work that they put in, in January and February leading up to spring ball. For them, mentally putting in the work here, watching film, the sessions that we have with our coaching staff, it's critical for them to continue to gain and grow in the knowledge of what we're doing. And, whenever we get back, for your high school kids, if it's later in the summer, I think it puts them in a disadvantage of having the opportunity to gain a bunch of knowledge of what you're doing before they head into training camp. I think that's a tough transition for those players.
Coach, what is your typical day like when you're meeting with players online? Are you up at a certain hour having a staff meeting? Are there times every day where are you like meeting with quarterbacks, or what is your typical day like now? And another question, with all I guess everyone's got more free time because we're all stuck at home. Have you caught up on any shows? Have you seen any good shows lately? A lot of people are talking about Netflix and things like that.
Yeah, I've watched more Netflix than I ever have in my entire life here. My wife got me started on All-American here this past weekend, so that's something that we started. For me, it is a consistent day. Wake up really the same time that I always have. We staff meet early in the week, typically just one time where we have an entire staff meeting. Our coaches get on Zoom sessions with the players either 2 to 3 times a week and interact with those guys. for me here, over the last 10 to 14 days, I've really tried to contact each of our players individually by phone. I wanted to check in on their real living situation, how their families were doing. Everyone's, being affected by this in different ways, whether it's physically with the virus, somebody that they know, or potentially, someone that is part of your team that could contract it. Want to check in on them there. But also the economic side of it too, and wanted to make sure that our players were able to be okay and had a good living situation. So that was important to me. Make recruiting phone calls all afternoon. Probably had a little bit more time to get some workouts in with the kids during PE class in the middle of the day or on the back end of the day too.
Josh, I know a lot of with social media has really kind of helped out, I guess, through the situation. I'm sure had an opportunity to see some of your players posting workout videos, Parker Boudreaux pushing a truck down the street, guys like that doing that. How does that help you maybe to see your guys showing them their dedication out there working out and stuff like that?
Yeah, the pushing the truck went viral on our football team after Parker spearheaded that. I think it's, kids are trying to find a unique way to push themselves and to push the guys around them. One of the great things about being a part of a team is there's great energy inside of the building. In a day where you maybe don't feel your best, there's somebody there beside you to push you. And in the interaction, I think that's something that all of our players crave right now. And it's something that if they didn't understand why they love playing the game, it's certainly something coming out of this experience that they understand. And it's a great feeling to be a part of something that's bigger than you. It's an awesome experience to have people around you that love and support you and push you in trying to help you become your best. And I think our team understands that now better than ever, but I think it's something that they absolutely crave right now.
Hey, Coach, just real quick, your background looks really nice there. Where are you going live from right now? And when you have been able to meet in person with your players or your coaches, what sort of social distancing rules are you guys following? Masks, all that, any of that?
I'm in my wife's office in our house right now. She's got a painting here that I actually took down. It's multicolored, so I went with the wood background this morning. Our staff has seen the other picture a little bit more. For our players, absolutely trying to emphasize the importance of being extremely smart and not hanging around a bunch of people, not leaving the house. Washing their hands, trying to make sure that when they are around people that they are distancing themselves. And when our players first left campus, in the medical conversations that we had, a lot of it was focused on the older generation and how it was affecting them. As this virus has continued to take a hold here in America, I think our kids have a better understanding that it's impacting young people as well, and certainly has created an urgency with them, trying to make sure that they're taking care of themselves as well. Masks. My daughters made a bunch of masks, homemade masks here over the weekend. We have not distributed to players or to staff yet, but I think it's important that everybody here tries to take care of themselves. And as much as you're trying to take care of yourself, you're trying to also take care of the people around you that you may not be knowingly infected as well if you happen to be infected with it.